position of being an explorer, not a person who's making a judgment about what you're going through, because Allah is the ultimate judge, right? So you've given yourself that, you've approached the situation as if you're a student and Allah is the ultimate teacher, as if you're an explorer and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds all the truth. So it changes the way you approach your tests. When you feel a negative emotion or a difficult, I don't usually like to say the word negative because I feel like everything teaches us, but when you feel like a difficult emotion, instead of saying, what is this? What does this mean about me? What does this say about my relationship with Allah? Or what is Allah, like, does Allah hate me right now? Or, all of these things that may come up because you're fixating on the emotion. Instead of doing that and saying, well, what is this emotion telling me? What is it trying to tell me? What do I need in this moment? What is it that is causing the aggravation? What is it that is causing the anger? What is it that's causing the fear? How many of us sit with the emotion instead of fighting the emotion? How many of us are willing to sit with the discomfort of just sitting with something difficult instead of trying to, the nafs bullies, right? Like in those moments, nafs is like, I don't feel good. Make me feel good. Come on, do something. Soothe me, soothe me, soothe me. It's like that inner child. And what do? We go external, surround ourselves with noise. We engage in things that kind of make that feeling, numbs it. It doesn't make it go away, it just numbs it. And then there's extreme versions of doing that, such as drugs and, see, it's like a scale. But if we don't build the muscle of sitting with our difficult emotions, then we won't learn from the test. And you can't say you accept a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you ignore the emotion. You can't say, oh, I'm so, alhamdulillah for the test, and then you don't want to look at the test. You don't want to sit with the discomfort. Because the test is complete with everything that it comes with. The reason it's called a test is because you feel something difficult. So you can't say, oh, I accept the test, but I don't accept this emotion. So accepting the test and having gratitude and having, this rida in our hearts when we go through tests is about saying, I accept everything as you have given it to me, Allah, and help me navigate it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala custom designs our tests. Your test is different than her test because Allah knows you, He knows your psychology, and He knows what has made you who you are, and He knows what has made her who she is. But we have to look at it as Allah custom designed my test. So then, okay, I'm a soul. I'm not from here. Rumi says, my soul is from elsewhere and I plan on ending up there. Our souls, this is not its home, right? So we have to keep remembering this, that I'm going through this experience. This is temporary. This is not going to last forever. But my job is to take this, whatever I go through, whatever I witness, and I walk to Allah and with Allah with it. Instead of saying, okay, thank you, Allah, I got this, and then that's what we do when we're tested. We want to prove to ourselves just how strong we are. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't ask us to do that. He doesn't say, okay, here, take the test, ma salama, He wants to go through the test with you. And that's actually the reason why He has tested you, so that you can see Him through the test. It's not a time for us to pride ourselves on how strong we are. And we do this, right? We want to prove to ourselves just how strong we are. But true strength is when we are vulnerable, when we can be open, when we can accept our limitations and our challenges, and especially in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because in front of Allah, those aspects, vulnerability, you accepting your weakness, you accepting your challenges, those are actually signs of strength in front of Allah. They're not weakness, as our limited mind views it. So it's about changing the way that we approach the path. So I want you to think, as you're listening to me, I want you to think about something that has become your sole focus, something that maybe you've been waiting on from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something that you feel, only if I get this, I'm going to be complete. Only if this emotional agitation goes away, then I'll be complete, then I'll feel good. Only if I get this thing that, this blessing that I've been waiting for, then I'll feel good. Then I'll make Allah a destination. Then I'll be fine. Everything will be good. That's an illusion. Shaitan will do this to us from the beginning of our life till the end of our life. He will make us want to work. He will make us seek false destinations. He'll make you think that if just fixate on that thing that you want to get, and then when you get it, you'll be fine. And existential psychology, I mention it a lot in my work because I feel like it's very It's very spiritual and it's very in line with Islamic teachings. And so every branch of psychology, it tries to approach mental and emotional challenges through a certain lens. So it tries to give an explanation of why people are struggling, okay? So like psychodynamic theory, for example, it says people struggle because of their early attachment and early childhood experiences. Existential psychology looks at struggles through the existential lens, meaning like, what is the person's purpose? How do they understand their life, their path? How do they make sense of their path? Are they connected to death? This is not a Muslim psychology approach, but they talk about how a person actually struggles more and they have more anxiety in their life when they're disconnected from the fact that they're gonna die. And they say that a person's ability to feel less anxiety and to feel more to maximize their life is when they are connected to the temporariness of their life. And they give examples of how like people who are given like a notice that they're gonna die, or they get a chronic, they get a condition where they know a disease where they know they're gonna die. What happens to those people a lot of times? They start saying, "Oh, I haven't been living. I have so much I need to do." It awakens you. The present, when you are in the present, it awakens you. The more connected to your akhirah and the fact that that life is not a mirage, it's real, very real, and it could be where you exist tomorrow or the next day, that's a reality. The more you connect to that reality, the more that your present comes to life. And we actually think the opposite, right? A lot of us think that, oh God, if I become this person who's just so connected to the akhirah, I'm gonna be so morbid. Let's not talk about death because we don't want to be depressing. We don't want to be morbid people that nobody wants to hang out with, right? But actually, the more that you connect to the reality of your destination, the more that your present comes to life. The more that you actually are present with the people in your life. The more that you are present with your loved ones. The more that you give your loved ones their right. The more that you are present with your job and the tasks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in front of you. So it brings your present to life. And so when we understand this, we understand that this experience is really temporary and I have to maximize. Whatever comes my way, I'm trying to see it with Allah at the end. And that will lighten the load. It unburdens you. Instead of when we make the emotion the destination, when we make ourselves the destination, when we make the test, the difficulty the destination, we handle a burden we were not meant to bear. Allah is the only one that can handle, he's the only one that was designed for us to give him, to handle the outcome, to handle the responsibility of relieving that difficulty. We were not the owners of ourselves. We are not meant to be the destination. Our emotions were not meant to be the destination. Our difficulties were not. And so existential psychology says that when pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And they say the difference is that suffering is our inability to derive meaning from our pain. So pain, everybody's gonna go through pain, right? That's something we have to accept. But suffering is when you're unable to derive meaning from that pain. And what is meaning? Meaning is value. You being able to look at something you're going through and see value in it. Doesn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that? Doesn't he give us the opportunity to see value in everything we go through? Where the Rasul taught us that even a prick of a thorn is you gaining reward and your sins being removed. A prick of a thorn. In the ayat that were recited before I started speaking, it was about that nothing goes in vain, right? Nothing you do will go in vain. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says more than once in the Quran, right? That your deeds are not in vain. Nothing you do goes in vain. And this is such a blessing that we have as Muslims. As psychologists who works with people who go through the most difficult experiences, I cannot begin to tell you how often, especially when I work with people who aren't Muslim, how often I walk out thanking, just feeling so grateful that we're Muslim. Because and we don't look at sometimes Islam that way, right? We don't, especially if we were raised with Islam and, sometimes we don't. It's like, when you're growing up and people ask you, when people say what you should be thankful for, you should be thankful you're Muslim, right? And you're like, okay, I'm thankful I'm Muslim, but you don't understand, you don't have the connection to it. You don't really when you're not really taught, well, why should I be thankful that I'm Muslim, right? And so, or we're taught it, but we don't have a connection. Because we know on a mental level, right? Islam is great, it's the truth, right? It's guidance, right? But a lot of us don't have that connection where when we think of being Muslim, we actually feel that gratitude. But we were given the mechanisms in which to approach our lives so that we can see meaning through everything. Nothing you go through in this world doesn't have meaning. It doesn't have nothing you go through, everything you go through has a value. If he gives you, it has a value. If he withholds from you, it has a value. And not just in this world, but in the reality that is more permanent and more eternal. When we on the day of judgment, and when we enter Jannah and we are asked how long did we live on this earth, we're going to say a day. We're going to think we lived a day or two. That's how fast this world is. That's how fast our soul just goes through this human experience. But that world is eternal. It's permanent. And so we have the mechanisms to apply existential psychology, where it says this world is temporary, and to connect to that. We have the mechanisms to be in the present, because the present is a sacred space. You can't connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you're in the future or you're in the past. The present is a sacred space. It's the only space where you can connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything about Islam teaches you to be present. When we are taught about ihsan, when Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam came in the form of a man and asked the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam questions, right? He asked him, what is ihsan? What is excellence of worship? And what did the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? It's to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see him, and if you cannot arrive at that level of devotion, to worship him as if he sees you. So if Allah sees me, then I have to be in the present, right? You have to be in the moment. Intentions is another thing. Al-a'malu bin-niyat. For you to make an intention, you have to be in the moment. You have to turn inward. You have to connect to what you are actually feeling and experiencing so that you can make an intention. But if we're never in the present, we're not going to care about making intentions. We're not going to care. And what is intentions? It's you empowering you to derive meaning from what you're going through. So subhanAllah, intentions, I look at it as our ability to receive beyond the time and place in which we did that action. Such a gift. They talk about the power of intentions in our community. Oprah's talking about intentions. Everyone's talking about the power of intentions right now. And if Oprah's talking about it, it means it's real, right? It's powerful. But we have the ability to derive even more because we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we believe in what he does for us in front of what we see, but also beyond what we see, right? That intentions for us has a value that transcends time and place. That if you set an intention, you could see its reward throughout your life, but also when you go into the next world. Nothing you do. You could be cooking for your kids, and you could be setting an intention and receiving a reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I'm cooking for you because I'm honoring the amana that you have given me. I'm feeding my family because I want to serve them because they're a gift from you. You could connect anything you do back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You could be going to work. You could make you could make more than one intention. The companions were known as tujar al-niyat, right? They would sit and think. Tujar is the traders or the businessmen of niyah, right? Meaning they would sit there and try to maximize the profit, because that's what tujar do, right? That's what traders do. They want to maximize their profit. So they would sit there and they would think about all the different, more than one intention that they can make for one action so they can maximize their profit. And we just go through our day mindlessly. We miss out on the reward because it's not just about getting, of course that's more important, getting the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you actually set intentions with something that you're doing, it allows you to be more present. You give it more attention. You're connected to what you're getting from it. And you also realize if that thing you're about to do is important or not. Sometimes we don't set intentions because we just want to go on, we were on cruise control. So I think I'm good, right? So just to kind of wrap up, I want to remind you of the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nur, وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ أعوذ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَإِلَى اللَّهِ الْمَصِيرُ, right? And to Allah belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and to Allah is the destination. Allah is the ultimate destination. He is the one we are designed and programmed to worship. The reminder that I would love to end with to myself and to you is to never let the eye of your heart direct itself away from Allah. And this path is about redirecting, not just your physical sight. We have two different kinds of sight, your physical sight and the sight of your heart. When you go through something, redirect your heart back to Allah so it sees Allah again, because it's normal. You're going to go through something, it might be fixating. No, you have to redirect. Remember Allah. And I'd like to end with this. There's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember me. He doesn't, to remember someone or to remember something, you have to already know it. If I told you, remember what I said to you the other day, or remember what I said to you, it means that I've said it to you once before. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember me, is because we already are programmed to know Him. It's in us, it's within us. It's something that we just have to recall. We have to recall the testimonial that our soul made on a soul level. And we have to remember, this is why we say the shahada, and we're recommended to say the shahada all the time, right? What is the shahada? You're testifying to a truth that you already testified to. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always keep the eye of our heart on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on Him, and always keep us, make it easy for us to make Him the destination. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see truth as truth and to see falsehood as falsehood, and to protect us from making, attaching to the false destinations that shaitan allures us to. Jazakumullah khair. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Oh, I'm staying up here, right, for questions? I'll stand, it's fine.